In this video on Evony the King's Return, we're going to be covering resources through production and gathering. We will not be covering events, bosses, and so on. That's going to give you resources, although do remember you are going to be able to get resources through that as well as Battlefield. But if your server is not 2 months old yet, you're not going to have Battlefield, so don't worry about that. Always check your items to see resources that you've got. Although, do remember that when we check out the warehouse building after the research, that there's only so many resources that can be protected from being plundered by other players when they attack you, so don't open too many resources from your inventory. So with the advancement tab here in the academy building, our research, you have plenty of researches to do. As you see, I've maxed these starter ones for hourly production up by 1000 points. You don't have to max these out. You can do this research and then do 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, and so on to work your way down the tree without having to max them out. Although if you have the gold available, I recommend attempting to max these out quite early on in your playthrough in the server that you're on. To work down here, I'll have other videos for these other researches, such as this one and construction speed, but for now we're sticking to resources. So also carriage wheel is going to increase the load by up to 10% if you max it out of your troops, which is going to be useful early game when you don't have enough troops to be able to gather on very high level resource tiles on the world map, to be able to increase your ability to do that, and also later game to have the ability to send less troops to a tile to gather resources by having more load per troop. I wouldn't worry about this one too much at the beginning because your load isn't going to be that great anyway. Gathering march speed, again, this is going to be one you don't want to worry about too often at the beginning, but you can max it out if you have the ability to. Mining and furnace is going to be a gathering boost, which you can again max these out if you wanted to gather. Agriculture, lumbering, mining, and masonry. You can click on each of these to figure out what resource you're going to gather or produce quicker by each of these researches. Agriculture is going to be farming. It's going to be for lumber, stone, and ore. Then you got additional ones for gathering here for all 4 resources. Another troop load by up to 70% once you max it out. Another march speed one. Again, it's not going to be particularly worth doing in the beginning. Gems gathering speed in gem mines on the world map is going to be fantastic during events, to give you even more of a reason to get gems, especially as a free player or someone that doesn't spend too much money to get gems for truce agreements and other things. Advanced silo is going to protect resources from being consumed by your army, so that's going to be helping you save your food. Agriculture and so on, it's going to be for production. At level 20 you're getting about 70%, although all the way down here you're only getting 10% on these. More gathering ones, and that's it. So bear in mind, as you work your way down the tree, keep in mind you have to look at these, look at the researches that are needed to unlock it, the gold that's necessary, and the academy level that's necessary. I've worked all my way down to here, but you may not be able to depending on the level of your keep and academy, so bear that in mind. And with these, obviously it's going to be very difficult, and as you see, even I haven't to max them all out, so I recommend gathering a resource or two different types, and trying to focus on just two in terms of production. That's going to be one of the best ways to do it, especially as a free player. So you research gathering for two and you research production for two or similar. You could even just resource production for one resource only and three for gathering. I say that because it's a little bit easier to gather resources than it is to produce. There's nothing really you should focus on too much. It's about preference, I would say, other than getting these original ones up and just doing maybe two of each, like I said. Personally, as you can see here, I'm focusing on making lumber and food and gathering stone and ore for the time being, although I will eventually come back into this tree and do some additional research so I can gather all resources when necessary. So now we're going to get into actual buildings that we have. As you see, I'm getting a bunch of my farms up at the moment. I also have a bunch of army camps here. I only have a couple of the ore buildings here because I'm mostly gathering it. More farms, some quarries that I need to get up. But again, I'm not really focusing on making this resource too much. And also I need to get my lumber production up and replace some quarries with lumber. Do bear that in mind that if you are going to focus on producing one or two of these, that you can have many more spots here filled with lumber or ore or whatever you want it to be. I think the max is around about 15. And so as you can see, I only have about 4 lumber here, and I could have like 10 more. And that's why I have plenty of farms. But bearing in mind that you're going to want to have the maximum amount of army camps as well. So it's a bit of a balancing act. And also you want to keep one of each of these buildings, like this one is level 27, because some or most of these you're going to have upgraded to unlock higher tiers of troop. So you can't just have none. That's not going to work out for you. When you click on these, you can do a production boost from here. But you can also do that in your keep. If you click on one, you can see in white here the output of this farm for 1 hour or 2 hours, sorry, 12 hours, and also the production boost by research. You can individually click these and claim the resources on them like this, or you can go to your warehouse building and click the little like arm icon to collect all resources. Bear in mind there is a maximum amount, I think it might just be 24 hours or something, you can leave these, and you will have to claim them each day to make sure that you can continually get resources. And as you see here, you have different capacities, production per hour as a base, and also power for these buildings. So we'll just take a quick look at our warehouse here. Mine's only level 24. You can click detail here. You can see the base protected resources from other players plundering it and the researched amount. So that's going to be added on top. So that's going to be like 6 million or so. Troop upkeep is going to be how much your troops eat per hour. And this is going to protect 5.2 million food. So that means when I'm opening up resources, I'm gathering resources, I'm producing food, whatever it may be, I'm going to want to keep my amount under 5.2 million, otherwise my food will be wasted. So right now I have 6.7 million food here, which is currently being eaten by my troops because it is not protected. And so I'm going to have to use that in a moment. Also, you have the gathering warehouse capacity. All resources that you gather will be put into the gathering warehouse, and they will be the resources that are used first when building. For the most part, you're going to see a very large capacity, like 100 billion here, and so you're not going to have to worry about that too much. You can click on here and you can see the protected amount for each resource. As you see here, this is my base at 3.8 million. Now I'm going to take a look at the world map for resource spots. Just going to scroll around and you can find a bunch of things. As you can see, you have ore, lumber, food, and we'll find a stone one. So you got like a quarry or stone one here. As you see, different ones have different amounts in them. There's no real difference between them other than the fact that you can sit in them for longer with your troops, which will require more troops, obviously, and you can gather those. So I'm going to find something that's closer to our city here. I'm going to go on to this one. As you see, you can pick your generals in here. You can pick your troops. It will automatically pick the right amount of troops to gather the resources in here. As you see, it automatically put about 20,000 of my T11 in, and that's going to gather 1.3 million of the resource. And as you see, there's only 1.3 million in here. If you didn't want to send this troop type, you'd put it to 0. You can scroll down to something else. You can pull this across. When you see this timer max out, if you keep watching it, it will not go up. My troop load will go up, but that timer does not go up, and that's because there's no more resources to gather. So you can pull this around until you're pretty much at the max there, and then you could send that. When this arrives, we'll take a look at our gathering rates. As you see here, it says gathering resources and how much time is left. You can see the resource amount ticking down. You can click detail. You can see the general and the troops that is in it, the possible items that will drop as a bonus, the boost of our buffs from city buffs in our keep, the default gathering speed based on keep level, and then the bonus from research. So now we're just going to click return on this. Bearing in mind when you do that, we've started to deplete the amount here, and most alliances frown upon that. If you are in a resource spot like this, try to use them up so new ones can spawn in its place. Also, another one is a gem mine such as this, so you can get gems, which are the premium currency in the top right. From these, they will take a very long time to gather these, sometimes even a day or two, even with research. Maybe not 200, but like 600 plus might take that kind of amount of time. But you can sit in them with relatively a low amount of troops for a long time, and it's going to be the best thing to get the higher level ones, level 10 plus of a gem mine. As you see with these, they have been depleted a little bit. This one at 1.3 million is at its max. That can be doubled through events. As you see with the current Fire Festival special event, with the gathering event here, resource amount on the world's map resource spots are doubled. So usually it is not 1.3 million, it is less. And the gathering speed is increased by an additional 50%. So do bear that in mind. If that's on right now, it's going to be very good to gather with all of your marches. Currently, if I were to gather ore and I was to put a buff on and use all of my 5 marches, which I have 4 from research and 1 from a VIP, I think 4 or 5 plus being active on the top left here, I can probably get over 100 million, or I'm sure if you're on an older server with much better research, you could probably easily get 180 million or 200 million in the same time period. I think that's really overnight, not even necessarily an entire 24 hours. So do bear that in mind. Send out all your marches, keep them going as long as possible. I've fallen into a bad habit of not keeping my marches out, gathering resources, but it's a fantastic way to get them. As you see here, I've produced 833 million so far. I've almost gathered that amount in just ore, even though I haven't been keeping on top of it. Now we're going to take a look at some generals. So here you have Attila, where her base book is going to be troop load, and also you can get other loads on here. I've mostly just used this general for stealing other people's resources. Also, Princess Lucy increases speed, and you can add additional books onto her to get speed up or get that up for a particular resource like this, load, and so on. So adding those in is going to get those up, and there are other generals that we'll check out in a second here that are going to give even better buffs than this. So in the tavern building here under portraits, we can go to career and we can look at queen here. This is going to be the best one for gathering if you can get this one, which is available in the tavern. After resource gathering brings back an extra 40% of resources from the world resource spots, or an extra 20% if you're in a alliance resource spot when the general is leading the army. So that's going to be something to look out for. This general and others that give similar buffs. So you got Princess Lucy that's going to help you out. And I believe there may be a couple of others, if I can find them. They may just be in Europe. Actually, I think they're not in here for some reason, but look out for those. They're going to help you get those resources, especially the Queen, as well as your generals, skill books, research, and so on. You have the Alliance City building if you're within the area of effect that you'll see with the green line that is around it. You get these buffs, so your warehouse capacity, so your ability to protect resources from enemies, your main city production, and your gathering speed is going to be boosted. These are great, and it's going to depend upon your alliance city level 1, 2, or 3. So bear that in mind, work with your alliance to level these up, and it's going to give you great buffs for a long time to come. Also, in our keep, under buffs, we have food production, lumber production, stone production, and ore production boosts by 100%. If possible, use the black market and your 3 refreshes each day to try to find these production boost items. And if you're a spender, you should be able to have more or less an infinite amount of these and be able to constantly overlap these so you have a 24% double production on your resources in your city. Also, offering in the shrine, which we'll take a look at in a second, is going to increase your production as well. If you're gathering, especially during the gathering event, you can come in here and you can use the gathering speed up to increase your ability to gather resources, although bearing in mind that you're going to get the most use out of this if you're able to be online for when your troops return to your city so you can continue to send them out again. Using this overnight and only an 8-hour one may not be worth it because you can't send your troops back to gather again. So now we're just going to take a quick look at the shrine again. In the shrine building, under offer, you're going to be able to see this screen here. If you offer gems in the bottom left here every day, it will start at 25 gems as a base cost. As you offer more, the price will go up and up and up. So bear that in mind when you're trying to do this. At least do the 25 gem one. If you can't afford the others, don't do them, but you can. As you see, my timer is at 10 hours for double city production. For each one that you do, you'll add 2 hours to this timer. And that's going to be a great way, coupled with research and your city buffs, to increase your production speed. In our talents, under our monarch, where you see your monarch gear, we're going to have some that are geared towards resources. So if you pick resource productions, you're going to get bonus production, but you'll get reduced gathering. Really, I should probably not have this one on, as gathering is one of the best ways to get resources, but if you wanted to have more production, you can definitely come in here and add this in. It's going to be good for the in-city production. So you go down here, you do have troop load. You could technically use this if you wanted more load, but it's not imperative. To resources, resources plunder, you can probably ignore that one. Resources critical, it's going to give you a chance at getting extra resources when opening resource items in your inventory. Gathering boosts, so extra resources when you return from a gathering. Troop upkeep can help as well, obviously, with protecting your food. And that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching.